How do you like I guess, the looks of both of them so far, and what do you feel that they're lacking?
I think Polaris just maybe adjusting it to the patch, like they picked this pretty good sustain for their lanes with Bloodseeker and Treant. I guess we're going to be seeing a Cuddle Mars. Maybe that's like, I mean, it's not like an amazing chakra combo, but it's at least a hero with a pretty low cooldown spell that you can kind of spam. For Nigma Galaxy, this line has been something they just have always loved to spam. It kind of gives them some much needed disable and lockdown, which their draft really just lacked. When you pick like a Night Stalker Razor, you've got 2 cores with no stun, so I think the line kind of fills that gap. So yeah, I think both teams have a pretty solid kind of idea of what they want to do here.
The only thing I really dislike right now from Nigma is their whole lineup is single target. So if they don't snowball the game, which they can technically, just team fights are going to be a little rough because they can kill one dude, but that's pretty much it for their AoE spells.
And then on the other side, you've got Tree and Mars. So
yeah,
it's
got a Blood Right. Caudle has some spells. There's a lot of a team fight on Polaris now. So I feel like Nigma's kind of cornered themselves into like really winning the lanes, getting map control, and snowballing this game. And their last pick is probably mid, maybe a carry, depending on what they want to do with this Razor. And I don't think those are 2 lanes where you can really fix that problem.
Polaris are going to have overall last pick. So for you guys, what do you think is a good pick for NGX that doesn't, I guess, isn't always having the bad matchup? Like what is something that you can pick that you feel isn't immediately going to be accounted?
Like the safe mids of the old patch was like your Storm, which apparently
banned.
got, and it also got like mega nerfed. Like there were all these like weird shadow nerfs apparently. I don't.
Well, they banned the Null Talisman, so from there as well.
Yeah,
it still won a game.
That's true.
But recently, it looked okay, but it's definitely not as ridiculous as before.
Yeah, the crazy thing in like pubs, the win rate went from like 47 or 48% down to 39%.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like that is one of the lowest like Dota win rates, like pub win rates. It was insane how far it fell.
I had no idea it dropped that much.
Yeah, because I think people just saw the Null Talisman nerf, and then there was also all these other like random nerfs. I saw like there was a post on Reddit which was just like, all these other things, but mana efficiency for Storm just got completely screwed. So
I didn't see that. Interesting.
Yeah. It wasn't just the null nerf. There was some other things.
Well, it's banned out anyway.
So yeah, mid laners for NGX.
They have options. Like I actually wouldn't hate it if NGX just put Razor mid and pick up a Medusa.
Okay.
Oh, it got banned. Just kidding. Because they need
something.
They need some team fight.
Yeah, I think Leshrac.
Really
I mean, the Leshrac I think could be an option too. I don't hate that.
It's okay. Against Bloodseeker, it's not super easy. I mean, they have like the Mars Bloodseeker combo, which is kind of annoying to deal with. The spear back. If you get ruptured. They're gonna do it anyway. When I think Invoker is what I normally see people go for Leshrac. But will they do it? I don't. Kunkka, Invoker. Yeah, those are like probably the top 2.
The other thing with players, they sometimes play Mars mid. I guess against Leshrac that doesn't sound amazing though.
I mean, I think they'll both farm, but you're not gonna like crush the lane with Mars. Oh, tiny mid. Right.
You may now select your hero.
Must just be a preference thing. I don't think that's bad though. It's like high burst damage.
Yeah.
Even more like cool stuff they can do with Rupture, Toss, Spear. Like just someone gets Rupture, they're gonna be pretty sad in this game.
Yeah, this Rupture looks brutal, and like it's one of the things they kind of lacked in that draft was just that like you have this Tree and Mars opener, like you need more damage. So Tiny kind of I think brings that to the table, particularly in the mid game, just with that Avatos combo.
Yeah, I want to bring in Mike and John, who will be our casters, and ask them sort of their thoughts about these drafts. Hopefully they're joining us. They are. Mike, would you like to share your thoughts first?
I mean, I hate Bloodseeker, but I think it actually suits the draft this time around. So, I don't know, like this Marcy pick, right? Is it actually a good hero? We just saw it win. Is it a good hero, though? I don't think it is. I think Polaris Esports have the better draft, and I think NGX are going to get run over this game one.
Do you think you're ready
I find it interesting.
Sorry, John.
But they
I
go
wanna-
back to that Morrissey.
So, I feel really bad. There's like, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to ask Mike if he wants to put Marcy in the trash column
Yeah,
too.
let's hear it.
Not quite yet. It's getting close, but not quite yet.
All right. I'm sorry for cutting you off, John. Please start again.
I'm just interested that NGX go back to the Morrissey, shift its position for Boomboy this time. Last time they tried to round it with Mizu. I think Polaris have really good conditions to play with. They could always pivot onto the Tiny if it goes late, and I like their draft a little bit more.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you guys team for game 1. Just team. No reasons.
I mean, I'll give one reason, but Polaris, because I think they have a much more well-rounded draft.
Okay.
Yeah, players too.
All right. You both can answer that as we head into game number 1.
Well, I think everyone on the panel and ourselves, Jonathan, has stated Polaris has the better draft going into this game number 1, which for any of the betting crowd out there means that NGX.SEA is probably going to win this matchup. So, you know, don't ever follow us because we're always wrong. Jonathan, going into game number 1, I mean, you already kind of talked about how you think the draft is better on Polaris. Where do you think the strengths are for NGX.SEA, though? There's a lot of NGX fans out there. They want to hear how their draft is good, sir.
They've got really early momentum. We've seen Marcy actually win, as you mentioned, in that last series we casted with TNC. There are conditions to make that hero work. Once you get the Aether Lens, it feels really good. It's really strong in lane. And we talked about the strength of Marcy. You and I were having that conversation. Sidekick feels great. You do have physical cores that can use that. Razor's the big one, but even the Night Stalker down the line with Sidekick on top does a ton of damage. So you can kind of play around those heroes really well with Marcy. And that could be what NGX looks for. On top of that Leshrac, the early momentum here from NGX, especially once they have, say, Razor BKB, Blink BKB on Mizu, Night Stalker, their lineup will be ready to go, and that might be something Polaris might not be set for. With a tiny mid, it's almost all about just Lelouch getting that quick blink timing and bursting down the backline before those BKBs come in.
See how it all pans out. There is going to be a bit of a 5-man smoke to break out here for NGX.SEA, but not going to amount to much. Polaris Esports not looking to fight level 1, as I dare say NGX.SEA have the much better level 1 timings. They are just going to sit back and avoid Nigma Galaxy here. And I really do question how good this Marcy hero really is. I think I was talking to you about it before, just before we went live, John, and I feel like sidekicks are a really strong ability, but after that, is this hero any good? Is it really viable? I doubt it, personally. But we did just see it win, to be fair. So maybe it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a lot of good buffs. Dispose is really nice once the Aether Lens is upright. We've seen that repositioning spell, especially in something like a high ground skirmish, go badly for you. Especially as a defender up against an attacker. You drag them back, behind, cut them off from their teammates. You can isolate really well. We're going to have to see what Boomboy does. And the lane combination for Boomboy and In Your Dream is pretty sick, though. Like, Marcy Razor has a lot of play potential. Dispose back with stat blink running. You can chase down easier once you do have that rebound up with the move speed bonus as well. So it becomes really easy for In Your Dream to just run down. I think that's the aggression you're going to have to see here from NGX. They've got to play these lanes pretty fast, especially in that safe lane, because you can be aggressive, but being aggressive against a Mars is a tougher one.
It certainly is. In Your Dream does get quite a bit of damage away from the Mars. The spear just end up landing onto Boomboy rather than In Your Dream. So for now, In Your Dream, a happy man down in this bot lane. Because like you mentioned, though, every time you go in for the link, chances are you are going to get speared away here by Nevermind, and he should be able to survive. And of course, you are also going to have the support there of Xavius to make life a living hell here for NGX.SEA. We should have a look at the other lanes as well, though. Of course, mid lane, Lelouch and Alacrity going to be going at it here on the Leshrac versus Tiny matchup. I think the Leshrac was quite a nice pick here for NGX.SEA going into this game 1. But John, how does it match up into the Tiny?
It matches up pretty well. You play from range, you have a lot of wave clear spells on hand. Tiny doesn't feel comfy in trying to trade hits there, but you do have some play potential, especially if you get a value point in the toss and the support comes in. You can try to isolate Alacrity, drag him back. It's just hard to catch the Leshrac at that point. It does feel like you need to set up with the Avalanche, and that's easier said than done. Alacrity has more give, or at least more value at every single mana point he spends on Lightning, on the Split Earth. And it's going to be a little bit tougher for Lelouch. So it should be a strong start for Alacrity. If Lelouch does manage to somehow get, say, the first 2 power runes at 6 and 8, then that does feel a lot better for the Tiny. But you will have to drag in your Kotl and your Treant to really make that happen there.
Top lane, Mizu. cop the Blood Right. Of course, you have that nice little combination with the Nature's Grasp and the Blood Right. Just being able to add that slow onto the Night Stalker, and of course, during daytime, it's not going to be a very fun experience for Mizu here in this laning stages. I believe Feeb actually pointed that out against the Bloodseeker. It's a pretty rough laning stage here for Mizu and JoeCam. As long as TMB does stick around and keep Natsumi alive as the levels go up, chances are this is going to be a very free laning stage for the Bloodseeker. But that kind of goes back to my previous kind of statement, John. Bloodseeker POS 1, while it did win last series, I'm still not convinced by it.
Yeah, it's a bit weird in POS 1. It feels like you have to play a very specific way. You have to know when to get aggressive. Natsumi is one of those more aggressive core players, so especially when we see him on something like, say, his Nature's Prophet, you kind of have to have the same mindset as a Bloodseeker. Just get some early items up. Once you have maybe Maelstrom, you should be good to go. Maelstrom BKB definitely should be good to go to join your team and start running. You want to be able to just play around. You have combinations with the Blood right here, Overgrowth to set up, Arena to play with that as well, and as they drop low, the Bloodseeker's value does shoot up very high. Mizu's laning isn't going too bad though, and they get a good stun onto TMV. That Treant Protector has to watch itself. The damage output of Mizu just from the right clicks can make it hard to trade.
Yeah, TMV is going to be able to salve himself up and be just fine. It's Natsumi, still top of the CS board, but props to Mizu, who is keeping up at 17 CS himself. So very even kind of matchup up the top lane. I thought there'd be maybe a little bit more aggression here from Polaris, but it does seem like they've opted to slow down just a little bit. Meanwhile, towards the right side of the map, Boomboy gonna go for a bit of a chase here onto Xavius, making sure the stacks cannot happen. Always a very good idea as a support to just chase down the opposing support Coddle and make sure he can't freely stack up the triangle. Spoonboy will even walk away with the Water Rune, but that is simply denying it away from Lelouch, as he is going to cop the Illuminate anyway. But I suppose just making sure the Tiny does not get a bit of a bottle refill is always going to feel quite nice for your mid matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Olacti's already having a very good time controlling the lane. You do have a little bit more EXP flowing into Lelouch, so he's going to maybe hit that level 6 a little bit faster, have that threat of grow or that added burst that he can have on hand. But Olacti's still doing well. You have to worry about that momentum here for NGX from the mid lane. If Olacti will hit 6, you know, start to get the levels up on the Edict, start to threaten with a Pulse Nova in the middle of these team fights, it's going to take a while for those BKBs to come on, and the Leshrac just feels unstoppable in the middle of that without that spell mute.
I deny
It does. Lelouch
Radiant
still holding up this lane quite well on the Tiny, but obviously it is going to become more and more of a struggle as the levels do go up for Alacrity. All lanes pretty quiet though, John. First blood yet to be drawn. Both teams just kind of focusing on securing those initial levels up. Though I say that TMB top lane is going to drop, but Natsumi is probably going to get a trade going for himself. So 1-for-1 at the top lane. JoeCam does secure the first blood gold, but it is going to be a 1-for-1.
Yeah, you don't mind that too much for Polaris. At least you get a kill on Natsumi directly. He gets the solo EXP for that pickoff. So he's going to hit level 5 just a little bit faster in comparison to Mizu. Nighttime is up, so this is when Mizu feels strong. Triple Bracer already up. This guy's hard to kill in the Night Stalker.
And they missed the blood right to make matters worse. So Mizu definitely going to be very, very safe on that Night Stalker. And well, like you said, even with the blood right, chances are you are not killing this man right now. It's very, very tanky with some very high base HP regen down that Night Stalker's mid lane. A bit of a group up here from NGX.SEA. It is just going to be to secure the power rune here for Alacrity once again. As TMB does rotate on the Treant, but may get caught out if he's not too careful. JoeCam not gonna bother trying to go for the stun out. We'll just leave TMB be. Again, as long as they're getting these power runes, it seems like they're more than happy here. Just making sure Lelouch cannot refill his own bottle.
No, go
Yeah, we talked about that early on, right? Like, if you don't top up on the Tiny, you don't manage to really snowball. And the last time we saw mid-Tiny was from Boom. Yopaj got like 2 kills in the laning phase, got really fast blinked by 9 minutes, 9.5. And that's the point when the Tiny feels scary. We're not seeing that critical mass build up that quick for Lelouch. So the blink's not going to be as quick. The aggression from Tiny's not going to be there as fast, and that gives Alacrity a lot of room to play here. He doesn't have any points in the Edict though. So push threat isn't that high from Lesh, and that is something to at least put Polaris at ease for a moment, knowing that even though mid's not outright winning or losing, the threat of a push isn't quite there from the Leshrac just yet.
And it is not. Speaking of the Devil John and Alacrity, it's going to smoke up now with Jocam, and they're actually going to try and head down bot. Maybe set up a kill there onto Nevermind and Xavius, who should not be expecting this, as Nevermind does actually go for a spear out onto In Your Dream, but it's all too late. They're going to get caught out. Boomboy, no, he doesn't get the dispose, but eventually he will get it, as Nevermind is going to go down very easily here to Alacrity. Go top side. They've got Mizu locked down for a little bit, but he's just going to TP out. He's going to be perfectly fine, as they could not finish off the Night Stalker. And it does go back to that Bracer build there for Mizu. Just not allowing Polaris to take full advantage of this Bloodseeker lane.
It's quad Bracers up. He's just way too tanky. Like nothing else. That's all you really need on Night Stalker. Just some durability. You build into your blink, your BKB. You're kind of set to go afterwards. And it's just funny seeing this, because, you know, usually the stacking came from Storm with Null. That's kind of dead.
Yep.
Hey, man, this might be it next. Just stack Bracers on the offlane, even though, you know, Bracer regen was nerfed by 0.25. Stacking them is still pretty good here, Mike.
I think it's just very effective against the Bloodseeker, because you were expecting to lose the lane, and now Mizu just can't really die. Lelouch, he's rotated up, but can you actually kill this Night Stalker? You're gonna need a rupture into a tossback at the very least to secure that kind of kill. You could definitely try for Jocam, but it doesn't seem like they really want that kill, though they are gonna rupture Mizu. What now? Blood right? Dark Ascension popped. He's gonna fly over the cliffside, as now they've got the Tiny locked down. Lelouch may have gone a bit too far, as Alacrity is gonna show up. Mizu, he hasn't got the rupture any further. He can just chase them down, but are they gonna go for that? They are gonna go after TMB first. Gonna be a tree protector as Jocam is going to get traded. A 1-for-1. And that's going to be about it. They don't get Mizu on the Night Stalker. No. I suppose they do force out the Dark Ascension and some rotations, though.
I'd say forcing out Dark Ascension is a bigger deal for Polaris. That's a longer cooldown. That's a higher impact vision spell as well. So you're going to have room to play around that downtime if you want to get aggressive, and that's a much needed kill for Lelouch, who is still working onto that blink. Again, timing's going to be a bit slower than the snowball starts we've seen from the mid-tiny so far, but this is the start of it. So 3-2 is still not too bad for the side of NGX. They've only really been dropping their supports. They're still getting that strong start they need from Alacrity, already having a casual cloak up. Going to be very durable up front, only with the one value point we need. So still no push threat coming out, but neither is Polaris finding any opportunity for a push themselves, and their lineup doesn't really shove in all too well. They can clear out a creep wave with Koppel, but laying onto the towers is a slower process with the Tiny not quite being, you know, that usual pause one Tiny with the emphasis on the tree grab. So gonna be a little bit more stable in terms of map control for the time being. The slower pace does feel to the benefit of almost to the benefit of NGX, it feels like, because they're just delaying the Tiny, delaying this timing for the Bloodseeker to be a menace with Maelstrom BKB, and just allowing In Your Dream to work onto his own BKB to counteract some of that control as well.
Oh, absolutely. You would have noticed as well, John, Alacrity finding another power rune here with the haste rune. Lelouch still yet to pick up one. Been a very rough time for that Tiny. So far, so good for NGX.SEA. His bot lane. Bit of a static link thrown out by In Your Dream, but it's not going to amount to much. And Polaris, they still seem very relaxed, taking their time to play out this game number one rather. I wonder how much faith they have in Natsumi's Bloodseeker. Again, I just always doubt this carry, and even last game during the TNC matchup where they did win with it, it didn't feel like it was because of the Bloodseeker. It did feel like because of the Enigma. And you don't have an Enigma this game.
Yeah, it's more down to the team fight control they had with Black Hole and Arena, more so than the Bloodseeker. We'd see a couple of fights where the Bloodseeker was completely gone and they'd still win. You don't want that to be the impact of your pause one, even though it could still win you the game, especially here. You don't have those big team fight spells. Overgrowth's great, but the follow through doesn't feel particularly amazing. So we'll see how well Natsumi gets online. He is doing well enough right behind In Your Dream. Not the best position for a Bloodseeker, but he's not lagging behind either. So the Maelstrom timing and the BKB timing should still line up with what NGX is also trying to get off here. I think NGX are starting to approach that point where you expect them to start taking initiative a little bit more. You know, they've got Finger ready on the line. They could make plays around the map.
Well, here's your initiative now. John Natsumi does go ahead and rupture up one. Joe Cam going to get lifted up and tossed up. Is going to drop it now. The crippling fear. They'll try to turn NGX.SEA onto Xavius they go. That'll be one, but they want more than that. They'll chase with the Dark Ascension. TMB is within vision right now, but it doesn't seem like they want the Train Protector. A bit too high risk and very low reward going after that POS 5 Treant. So they won't even bother trying for that. They'll just accept the 1-for-1 trade. And it seems like they'll be happy to back off once again.
Just find what they can, prevent Polaris from killing off the bigger targets, find a trade, and you're happy. Really interesting build here from Mizu Mike. Again, you know, he's already gone for quad bracers.
Never mind.
He's also going for...
Bot lane getting caught out. X is there, finger out. Joe Cam not playing around. Another great pick up here for NGX.SEA. 5-3 now with a very slight net worth lead to go the Radiant's way. Only real saving grace right now for Polaris is the fact that Natsumi is second in net worth.
Yeah, they get a good scan here from NGX as well. Pop. Seeing that smoke, hold on.
Yeah, big avalanche toss out. In your dream, going to be focused on massive overgrowth. 5 heroes being caught out. TMB really setting up for his team now as they've got Boom Boy and In Your Dream down. They might just have Alacrity. The rush is on. Earthspike is going to hold them back. Alacrity, he is going to be able to TP out, but instead Joe Cam is the one caught out and is going to drop. Natsumi able to take a double. Onto the T1 bottom tower they go.
Radiant structures are fortified.
That's a great way of playing around that blink reveal from Lelouch. The scan was good from NGX, but they didn't back off in time. They still hung around the tree line forward of the tower and get punished for it. And now Polaris have room to get a little bit of a shove in themselves. Not the quickest push in the world, but they will start at least chipping away at that bot tier 1, not able to fully commit for that push. Alacrity doesn't find Rune this time around. Lelouch is starting to play with that blink really well. And this is the point where you kind of need to just rest back on In Your Dream. He's been showing up to these early engagements here. Mike needs the BKB to really feel secure in the middle to cut off that burst damage from Lelouch. Not too far off from it. I think all you need to do is be a little bit more patient now on NGX. For Polaris, this does feel like where the window starts to open. Ideally, you'd have Nevermind's blink. It is coming out shortly. The gold is starting to build up, just about 200 away. And once you've got that blink avalanche toss and blink arena, that's when Polaris can really start running around the map, play with this early momentum that their lineup does have.
Well, they could go again. Looks like they're ready to fight. Lelouch is kind of baiting right now. They do toss him back. Maybe he's not baiting. Maybe he's been caught out, but a blinding light is going to delay it a little bit as the Illuminate does fly through. Lelouch somehow surviving a little bit longer, but not quite enough. Almost finding a trade onto the enemy Marcy, but does end up going down as now NGX.SEA might be able to pressure that mid tier 1 tower a little bit, but they are still against the Keeper of the Light, so chances are they are not going to get away with it.
Creep wave just dies a little bit too fast. They do have level 3 Edict ready to go now on Alacrity, so they want to lay on a tower. They're making their way up top. TMV is just trying to push the wave back and using that Nature's Grasp, but there's the Dark Ascension.
Nice overgrowth. The Earth Spike actually not landing there from Joe Cam. So the Dark Ascension, it doesn't really mean too much. At the least, you know you can secure this top tier 1 tower for free. But now with the Dark Ascension down for another 2 minutes, you are probably going to have to play a little bit more slowly. As NGX.SEA, they'll take the top tier 1, but in the meantime, Polaris, they are grouping up and rushing towards the south where In Your Dream is hanging. I don't think they'll get him though. Instead, top lane, they have actually found TMV, who went back in and is going to get punished as the Dark Ascension vision goes right through that tree line.
Do find the Treant in the end, while also finding that top tier 1. Polaris make a good move. They have a really good aggressive ward watching that bot jungle, but there was also still that defensive ramp ward coming through from NGX that allows In Your Dream to back off. And speaking of In Your Dream, his BKB is almost done. So we're going to be reaching that point where the Razor's going to be comfy enough to join these fights with a Falcon Blade BKB. Same thing goes for Natsumi, but he's still a bit further off, still needing 1,000 gold for his own BKB. There's going to be a window here for NGX to really start getting aggressive. They've got durable frontliners in the Night Stalker and the Razor to an extent, and they've got a lot of output coming through from Alacrity on the Lesh, already having that full Eternal Shroud up. so they can start to force into objectives. I think NGX is gonna need to find a team fight around the mid, start to get that push in on that mid-tier 1, because their own mid-tier 1's about set to fall here if they're not careful.
Radiant structures are
Certainly looks like it will.
Dire's top tower.
Again, without the Dark Ascension up, they are not feeling confident to try and go for this fight. Polaris, they should have it. They are still wrapping around though. It seems like TMB has been caught under vision though. They lose a big avalanche toss and now the arena spear is out. Never mind locking down the left track. Natsumi's in. They should have it and they do. Alacrity's gone. But can they find more? Never mind. He will drop and so will TMB. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 trade to go the way of NGX.SEA. And that looked like a perfect team fight for Polaris with the arena spear, but they just didn't have enough to take down Alacrity quick enough.
Yeah, it took a little bit too long. There's still some really good output coming through from Alacrity. Eternal Shroud just keeping up alive a little bit longer than they'd want to here on Polaris. They are still very reliant on magical bursts with their Tiny, with their Mars, and the Kotl. So that delay from the durability of our Lesh just gives enough time for the damage to come through, for the presence to come out, immediate smoke out from NGX just to back off. Polaris, for their part, it does feel like a bigger trade, but they sacrifice a little bit too much, so it doesn't end up being a big win for them in that sense. Natsumi does have his fresh BKB though, and is still ready to show up and try to run around and, you know, be that big beast now on the Bloodseeker. He is looking to be aggressive, grouping up with his team, so we'll see if that aggression pays off. The mid will fall, no Fortify left, and that should open up the bot jungle entirely for Polaris to be aggressive with.
It seems like they want to go right now. They lose, gonna make the jump in. Avalanche is out. They've got the left track, but not for long. Alacrity, he'll turn around. It's now the Dark Ascension. Mizu trying to get the job done. Burn Boy, he's gonna drop down first. Mizu now being chased by Natsumi, but do they really want to keep going? It's so hard against the Dark Ascension vision. As Mizu, Spike will be there. Joe Cam locking down two, but do they really want this fight? Arena's down. BKB popped in your dream. He's going to try his Nevermind, trying to walk his way out. They've lost another. Boom Boy is going to buy back immediately as the toss back is out. In your dream, he's without a BKB now. Overgrowth is there, but they still don't have enough. The Razor is out as now Lelouch's the one in trouble. He needs some help. The Tiny somehow still alive as they'll turn back onto Boom Boy. It'll be a dieback immediately onto the Marcy. And they even found Mizu.
Oh man, NGX, it feels like they overcommit there. They go for the buyback. They want to turn with Inner Dream, running that BKB in the static link, and near the tier 2, they figure they have a good angle to make a play. They get punished. And we're starting to see that presence come through from Natsumi. Just with a BKB, he's able to stand and fight, meet up with Night Stalker. Mizu, again, this is something that he's gone for that's a bit different. He goes for the early shard for the Hunter and the Knight consumption of the creep. It can allow him to sustain in team fights a little bit more, especially around a creep wave. That max HP and mana restore is big, but he doesn't have that much utility on hand. He doesn't have his BKB done, no blink, no Echo Saber for additional slow, nothing to keep these enemies locked into their control. And for Polaris, sure, the first few fights early on in this game didn't look like it was ramping up, but now with, you know, the blinks up on Nevermind, the BKB up on Natsumi with Lelouch's own blink as well, they've got the angles. Lelouch already has his Echo Saber up as well. Gonna be going for the disassembly into BKB. And once you have those double BKBs on Bloodseeker and the Tiny, that presence coming through from Alacrity disappears. The Leshrac output just doesn't feel as great, at least while these long duration BKBs are up. Down the line, 6 seconds, you have a much better window. But Polaris are starting to reach that point where NGX, it might feel like they don't quite have enough in the tank to play here.
Yeah, top lane in your dream. That'll be a big pick off. Lelouch, he's in, forcing out the BKB, but in your dream, we'll turn with the static link out. Rupture will hold him down as Joe Cam. He's going to blink in, and Alacrity is going to join the team fight. Overgrowth is out, but they've got Natsumi. A great pick off here for NGX.SEA. They're going to try for a bit more. Burn Boy will toss back the prof, or rather the Treant. Tiny. TMB is gone. Is Mizu? He's going for a bit more now. Xavius, Nevermind. They're on the run, but Mizu, he's right behind them. Nevermind, still fine. Is Mizu not going to be able to catch another, but it's still a great team fight here for NGX.SEA.
They make it work. Great immediate BKB out from In Your Dream before the toss could come through after the avalanche, buying him the time and space for the team to kind of collapse onto him. They do have the early 4 staffs up from Polaris' end, so getting a good static link off is tough. And now that Polaris knows that big Razor BKB is down, they go for a bit of a smoke up. Lelouch wants to go hunting. He just needs a little bit more gold for that Black King Bar recipe, and he can disassemble. Still has a lot of damage for the Avalanche Toss if they find someone.
They find a double damage, John. Right as they smoke. No vision from the Radiant side to give that information away, and Alacrity is thanking his lucky stars right now. He's not showing underneath the creep wave. Instead, mid lane is where they're going. Lelouch, about to run out of smoke though, is going to have to be very patient. Jokam's hanging around, but he's not giving the opening. So instead, Polaris back down towards the bottom side. We'll try to go after that bottom tier 2 tower. With the double damage available on Lelouch, it's not going to take too long. Hell, even with the Blood Rage up, going to make things even easier.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
That'll be the tier 2 tower gone, no problem.
Bottom tower has fallen.
NGX not keen on the defense. Big tower take
Dire's
for
middle
Polaris,
tower is
solidifying
under
their
attack.
control on the bot jungle. There is a good forward ward here from NGX to watch their movement. So they aren't fully defenseless down bot. They can see at least some of that foraying from Polaris's side. I think the one thing for NGX is they've not been able to make any progress on the mid. They've got the Leshrac, and they've got some great aggression that can come through from the Night Stalker. Full BKB now up for Mizu. They need to clear out that mid tier 1 to kind of play on the opposite side of the river. And just open up that top jungle, start to invade that triangle where Natsumi's really just been farming a hell lot of gold, working on to the Linken's next. And the Bloodseeker is starting to shape up. Number 1 in network here so far, Mike. Right ahead of In Your Dream, and even Lelouch is on the tail of In Your Dream, so your Tiny is also reaching that point where, again, the BKB is going to be flying through. You can start thinking about the Assault Purist down the line, start getting the damage off, being the real damage dealer for the team outside of the Bloodseeker. And it's as this game scales on where NGX just feels like they have a tougher and tougher time. Like, they don't have that amazing team fight control. They don't have that amazing high ground defense that you would have with, say, the Enigma plus the Marcy. And, you know, you don't have the Mars on your side to keep relocating people towards the backside. So just trying to force these fights out when the BKBs are flying through is tough. And it just kind of boils back to Boom Boy's Marcy. Like, we're at the point in the game where the impact of Marcy just boils down to sidekick. Sidekicking a Razor is great, but it's not like the Razor has the highest damage in the world. Right? Unless the static link goes off for a long time, it just doesn't feel amazing in the middle of this. Unlike, say, the Tiny with Blood Rage. That's a much bigger buff for a hero that does fall short in attack speed here.
To be fair to Boom Boy, it does seem
is
like
under
he's been
attack.
mostly using it onto Mizu during the Dark Ascension for even more bonus damage. And speaking of Mizu, he might get caught out right now. Lelouch trying to find the right distance to be able to blink in. Mizu gonna get caught out, but will force the BKB. Almost popping the Dark Ascension just in case he needed it. But is going to be able to get himself out of there. And these BKBs, they are a much bigger deal now. With that extra 15-second cooldown that you do have on the BKBs, you've really got to be more careful how you use them. Right now, it doesn't seem like they're going to get punished for that usage. But had it been a different draft, Polaris, they might have just rushed Roshan.
Yeah, they certainly could have gone for a bigger objective. Right now, it looks like they are just clumping up top, looking for someone to play greedy in the farm. And GX aren't declumping yet.
Never mind. Oh, that's a quick hex out from Jokam, but it's not going to matter. Lelouch already taking him down. In Your Dream still going to move in, but they've got the Tiny. It's a big pick off. Lelouch still dropping very low, trying to run with his own BKB as now the arena is down. Never mind. Trying to turn this one around. Boom Boy still alive, still surviving, but surely not for long as the Illuminate. It does fly right through, and now Natsumi. He's running real darn quick on this Bloodseeker. But nobody around to chase is going to mean they go after the top tier 1 tower instead. And that they will.
Radiant's top tower has
Polaris, it doesn't seem like they're ready for Roshan yet, but they certainly might start thinking about it.
Yeah, they've got decent enough output on Natsumi. It's not going to be the quickest Roche, but they know that it does feel like NGX is starting to lag behind in what they can do. That was a beautiful combination out from NGX. Static Blink and Dispose out. Still not enough to finish off Lelouch. And that's a worrying sign. Your Razor might not be able to eat through all that armor Lelouch does have on hand now just from having level 2 grow up. and he is working towards his shard for the just constant tree bonus damage, along with the hyper stop, the moon shard as well on top of that ag shard. So a lot of things lining up. Smoke out from NGX going over to the top side. Scan does not quite find anything, neither does the Polaris scan. Could have a good angle here if they manage to walk across, but the mid-tier one still cuts them off. If they can't actually run across this lane.
Oh, NGX, they might try for Roshan. Oh, they thought about it. Joe Cam just went to scout it out. Polaris really just avoiding the side of NGX.SEA for now. They still hold on to a 6k net worth lead and obviously don't want to throw it away, especially with their own draft. It's not as reliable as one would think. But now Polaris, they might be able to smoke up and group up, trying to force another fight and go after Roshan right after. Just depends on when they feel ready. They are still sticking as a group, but they aren't going to pop the smoke yet. Meanwhile, in your dream, mid lane has to be very cautious. Thought about going after that creep wave, but does end up backing off as soon as he sees Natsumi. And there's your smoke up. As for they go, Joe Cam already spotted out, so Lelouch gonna try and rush for this lion. Almost has him, but no. Doesn't make the blink in. Instead, they'll go after Alacrity, and they've already got him. Never mind. Taking him down with the spear. There's a rush for a bit more. If they can find in your dream, it'd be massive. They can't find that kill. Not quite. The Razor will be fine. But they still lose the Leshrac for 40. And that may just open up the Roshan they're looking for. In fact, it still doesn't, apparently.
They just don't clear it fast enough. Not until the shard plus moon shard is up on the Lelouch. The double shards need to be up on the Tiny. I think that's when your physical output feels a lot better for the Roche Pit. Until then, you're just kind of playing a waiting game. You are allowing Natsumi to still maintain #1 net worth here. 2k above in your dream. The Bloodseeker is looking bigger and bigger. Lincolns to protect from the static link. You've got the Mjolnir coming through soon, so even more damage coming through. And
very easy setup there for Nevermind. They find the ward now on that cliff, but it's already too late. They've already got something out of it here on Boom Boy, and well, the ward's probably going to expire before they can actually get into that area. NGX.SEA in a very rough position now with their own draft, just trying to find a way to make this one work. They're just hanging around that Radiant Triangle, but they've got to find a way to force a good fight for themselves. The opening is not coming. They have to break it open.
Yeah, and Lelouch gets started on Roshan. He does have that Ag Shard up, so that's the go signal for them. Natsumi already starting to rip in. Lelouch probably wanting to get a kill first. They know something's up with the jungle. Just needs to find a jump angle.
Looking for a toss back here in your dream. Narrowly going to avoid being the one being tossed back. They are going to group up as 5 top lane in NGX.SEA. They might try for something big, but Nevermind jumps right in. Arena down. Spear is out. In your dream, he's a target. He'll BKB in time. TMV could not get the overgrowth out. Just the nick of time is now Lelouch. He's the one in danger, but no, Nevermind. He'll turn around. Boom Boy, he's the one that needed the ambulances in your dream. He's getting a rush down here by Natsumi. Just trying to run. The Hex, it buys him a bit of time. It's going to be enough. Alacrity in the meantime, though, still fighting on the left track. Can he really do it? It doesn't seem like it. The BKB is going to wear off. 4 down. In your dream, the only survivor. And just barely, thanks to the Hex of Joe Cam coming in the nick of time. And John, would you believe it? There's a double damage wound before Roshan.
Yeah, back into the pit they go. Really not going to take too long now with the output of Lelouch and Natsumi skyrocketing at this point. They had such a good read in Polaris too. They go into the pit for a while. They know something's up in the jungle with the camps kind of going in and out. They had a good forward ward on that cliff spot. And to get the angle they need, force the early BKBs. Nevermind showing up in this game once more. Laning phase was a bit slow. You know, he did die a couple of times down bot, but with a blink BKB, he's just been that foundation for Polaris to play off the back of. And with that take, secondary life up on Natsumi. The damage output of Lelouch just really shooting up. Our Tiny's pretty much our usual pause 1 Tiny now, with the Moonshard halfway through, Hyperstone on hand. It doesn't feel like NGX can keep up in these fights. In your dream, he needs to hit his level 25. He needs multiple static link charges to go onto the Tiny, to go onto the Bloodseeker as well. The output coming through from Mizu just isn't high enough. Even with, say, something like Sidekick on Mizu, just doesn't feel like he holds his own in the middle of these fights. And it just feels like NGX had this mid-game, early to mid-game timing that felt really good. They weren't able to capitalize. They took one tier 1 up
Radiant's
top,
courier
mid
has
still
been
stands
killed.
away. That mid tower's been the issue for them. Every time they smoke and go around top jungle, they can't cut through the lane. They just held in the top jungle. Polaris just holds on the triangle, and suddenly the smoke's constantly wasted. The aggression just doesn't come out for NGX.
Radiant's top
Mid lane,
tower is under
NGX.SEA, they're going to
attack.
clear out the creep wave and they're going to try and smoke up as 5. They've got to find some solo pickoffs here. Closest target to them is going to be TMV on that treant, but even he's going to run off. That they might be able to bait using that arcane rune down to the bot rune spot. NGX.SEA still wrapping around, but no, they're just going to go back for their outpost. That makes the smoke very obvious. And now maybe the arcane rune's a bait for Polaris.
Radiant's
Is they're
top
waiting.
tower is under
Joe Cam's
attack.
going to shot. Oh boy. What was that?
You can run.
Lelouch.
What was that?
He took it.
Run.
He took it first. Bottled up, has the Moonshard ready, gets recalled as well. They work on the top with the Moonshard up.
Radiant's top
I mean, these
tower
towers
has
just
fallen.
melt, Mikey. This is still a tiny. At level 20, with the level 20 talent up and running, now
Dire's
NGX,
bottom
their window
tower
just
is
feels
under
shut.
attack.
They need to find a way to bust it open. They need to find a way to play against those BKBs, play against the physical burst on hand from Polaris. I think the
Mid
best
lane.
hole.
They're always going to jump the line. Every chance you get, you will burst the line down first. Lelouch says thank you very much for that. And into the mid lane they go. Tier 3 tower going to be exposed here for Polaris.
Radiant's
In your
middle
dream,
tower is
I don't know
under
what
attack.
he can do on this Razor to slow this
Radiant
down.
structures are
It's a very
fortified.
tough situation as another toss back out onto Mizu. He's going to BKB up and try to run, but the overgrowth is going to hold him down. It's just so tough. Now Eruption and Alacrity. Lelouch with the toss back into the blood. Right, they've got another.
Radiant's middle tower
In your dreams, trying to fight. There is no fighting. Because now the arena's down, never mind. They're trying for a bit more. They won't dive past the tier 4 towers quite yet. They'll hold out. They are forced to buy back up from Alacrity anyway.
Radiant's
So they're
middle
sitting
barracks
very
are
happy
under
here,
attack.
Polaris
Middle
Esports.
barracks has fallen.
They'll take the mid-racks for
Radiant's
free.
middle barracks
And they're not
has
done. They'll
fallen.
just keep going. Lelouch, another great avalanche toss up. They've got
Radiant's
Joe Cam a
bottom
second
tower is
time.
under attack.
Still no buyback.
Yep. It's just a tough decision. They need that
Radiant's
line
bottom
stun. They
barracks
need
are under
that
attack.
blink initiation to make things go their way.
Radiant's bottom
Polaris
barracks
constantly
has fallen.
finding the line. Great
Radiant's
movements out from
bottom
Lelouch. They clear out
has
another set of
fallen.
racks. They could go for top if they wanted to. Like, there's really nothing stopping them at this point. 26k lead. Your Tiny's just a massive beast. You've got that combination with the toss back and
Radiant's
rupture.
top tower
The
is
counterplay
under
from
attack.
NGX, it just doesn't feel like it's there. You do have the blink up on Mizu. You could try for a dark
Oh,
ascension
what a
blink play.
spear
Oh,
out.
no.
Look at that. Nevermind. Oh, Spidey senses are tingling there from Nevermind. Getting the perfect spear out onto Mizu. No buyback available.
Radiant's top barracks
Mega
are
creeps
under attack.
incoming. NGX.SEA, they might just have to call
Radiant's
this
top
game.
barracks
There's no coming back from this. Surely. They're going to try one last time. Never mind. He'll be the target. He might drop on the Mars. You've at least got one. What's the old saying in SEA, John? Happy defense?
Happy def, yeah. Def.
Happy def?
No, just say def. Yeah, just def. Def. Mega creeps up. Polaris back off. If they were a bit chummier, you'd see that def come true there, Mike, for sure. That's a classic C-Taunt. Still,
Yeah.
I don't know how you def this if you are NGX. Like, Polaris, just one last team fight to clean it up, I think.
That's not going to be a very happy defense anyway, John. In your dream, you'll get tossed up. There's your overgrowth to hold him down. Natsumi, who rushes way forward. In your dream, he's already out of that BKB charge. He just has to the old-fashioned way. But Natsumi runs way too fast. He'll find a second. Boom Boy's gone. Mizu, they're going to buy back. They'll keep trying to fight. Natsumi, he may have gone too far, though. He is going to get punished. They'll at least find the carry Bloodseeker. As Mizu will try to get a bit more. TMV's right behind him on that tree. And Mizu will find Lelouch. Crippling Fury's out, but the blink away is there from the Tiny. TMV still hanging around from the backside. Does actually root up in your dream. Now Mizu, he's in trouble. The BKB wears out. He's gonna drop. They go for more now. Link is out. Lelouch, it's him against the world. Onto this Razor. In your dream, he is desperately trying to fight this one up. And Lelouch, he's just man fighting every single one of NGX.SEA. He does not care. In they go again. TMV, he does at least go down. But look at Lelouch. Goes for another. Back on the Razor. Kami-sama needs to get out. In your dream, trying for the TP. Lelouch, oh, the spear out, never mind. Oh, never mind, he's done it
Is
again.
under attack.
He spears them right into a GG call here. NGX.SEA, they can't be happy with that.
No, definitely not, Mike. Great plays out from Polaris. Even at that last moment, Lelouch, he gets caught out. You know, he's being run down, static link on top of him. He gets his Satanic right in the middle of that fight, assembles into it, and just turns it around, holds his own. They look like they get a good opening there on the side of NGX when they catch Natsumi with his Aegis just expiring while he dives in a bit too deep. Not enough to hold off, and they were dealing with mega creeps. They had to find more. They had to get the punishment onto Lelouch. Couldn't manage to make it happen. And for NGX, it just feels like they missed that mid-game timing. They had really fast starts with the Leshrac, with a Razor. They had this combination with a Razor Marcy lane that we saw a little bit of in the laning phase. They did manage to hold Nevermind back quite nicely, but we never saw the full extent of it. That mid-tier one stood till the end there for Polaris, and every time NGX tried to make a move across the map, the mid-tier one would hold them off. They just couldn't find that angle across the lane. It just made it tough, and Polaris just managed to hold on, build off of Lelouch. Slower start for him with the Leshrac matchup, but once he hit Blink BKB, he was set to go.
And you know you're in trouble as well. When I'm picking the Bloodseeker draft over the Marcy draft, you know there's a problem going on. So we are going to head off to a very short break. And of course, right after that break, we'll be back with our beautiful panel for game number 2. We'll see you then.